Hi, I want to go over the graphics on chapter 2, and that's what we're going to talk about in this section. And what your book has done, your book has created a module that is called Easy Graphic to make things a little easier for you. But Python has tons of stuff in the graphic area and modules and different packages. So I created another section for you guys to know how to download packages, and we're going to be practicing that for next few days to be sure everybody's going to be doing that. And the first thing we're going to do is the easy graphic, and then when we get to the Py we're going to do the Py as well. Take a look at that one, and then we're going to have a discussion question about it. So going through this one, of course, again, this is not the only way of doing it. This is just us getting it started. And then when you learn it, then we can do a lot more than that. So the first thing first, when you install your Easy Graphic or any kind of a graphic on your computer, we are going to be using the import. So we are going to be doing the import graphic window. And when we do that one, we're going to create an object. Remember, we need to create an object to be able to use it. So we're creating a graphic window. We're going to put the pixels in it. What pixels do you want? And then we're going to put that as a canvas. So we're creating a window, and then we're going to create a canvas of that window. So when we have this, and again, this is going to be similar to a lot of our packages for the graphic. So you have some methods. So in Python, the objects function, we call them method, and the functions outside of the objects, we call them functions. So this is a method. So when we created this canvas, we have the methods that's coming into us. Now, when you're using, especially if you're coming from CS2, you might not be familiar with these things. So when you create an object and you put a dot, most of the IDE is going to tell you what methods do you have in there. So in general, you would have something like draw rectangular or rectangular or something similar to that, but they are basically almost the same way of doing it. So if I want to do a rectangular, I need X and Y width and length to do a rectangular. And that's basically a standard of whatever you want to do to create these things. And another thing that I want to mention over here is you have something called the win weight. If I don't do this, it's going to display the graph and it's going to go away. So we're going to stop the screen to go away. That's why we're going to put this one in there. So if you do that, this one is going to come up with a window like this. And so it doesn't matter where you run it, depending on, if it's a Mac, PC, or Linux, or anything like that, it's going to create a window. It might look a little different, but the functionality and the general concept is going to be the same. So you're going to have the X and the minus sign to minimize it, close it. And so this big one is the window, and then you have a canvas inside the window. So the code is in your book. That's the way you're going to be doing it. Very easy. You just import your easy graphic. You're going to do the graphics window, and then you just going to run it. So the methods that are available, you have the graphic window constructor. Remember, it's going to do it for the default values. So it's going to set basically everything to 0. And you can have, so if I do the first one, my window size is going to be 0. So I have to go and reset it. But the most common one is when you're constructing it, you would call it with width and height. That way you would have a size of the window. That's generally the way we do it. So these are called constructor. If you remember, constructors are the methods that's going to be called while we're building the object. So while I'm building the object, I'm going to be calling my constructor, and that's what happens. So when I do that window, inside of the window, we have a method that's called canvas, and this method is going to create a canvas for me inside the window. And then, of course, another method for the weight. We are not going to go through too much of object-oriented programming, anything like that. We are just going to be using it. So as far as I know that I'm going to be using a dot operator, and so as far as I know, I'm using a dot operator, and I'm using a dot to call the method inside of that object. So the first step is, step one is to create an object. And step two is use dot operator to call methods inside of the object. So for non-programmers or the programmers that they just want to use some stuff, all they need to know is what method is available. So what method is available inside of my object. So again, if I don't create my object and I'm using my class, that's not going to be available. I have to create an object to be able to do that. And most of the recent IDEs, you put the dot, it's going to tell you what you have in there. So I can have draw lines. So for if I had a rectangular, I needed to know the beginning of X and Y. I needed the width and height for it. But if I just have a line, all I need is the starting point and the ending point, and that's the way we're going to be drawing lines. So these are some of the things that's available in this easy graphic. Again, this is available in most of the graphics one. Your book want to start with the easy version of it and then move on to the more complex one. They don't want to mix up the complex stuff at the beginning of this book. So that's why we have this. So we can do a line, we can do a rectangular, we can do an oval, we can drive in the message, basically a text. So we can do these kind of things. So when we are having shapes, we can do filled or not filled. So the default is not filled. And if I want to fill it, I have two options. One is to use the name of the color. The other one is to use the value. So remember, we are for the RGB, we are using 3 bytes. So the first byte is for red, the second one is for green, and the last one is blue. So we have 1 byte for each one of them. So 1 byte can go from 0 to 255. So if I want to put the numbers for it, I'm going to put 0 to 255. So typical one would be what? 0, 0, 0. So if I don't have any red, I don't have any green, I don't have any blue, that's going to be the black. And if I have all of them, then that's going to give me a white. And good thing about the numbers is if you are playing with it and you want to write a program, you can kind of gradually go from one to the other one. So for example, I can have 255, 0, 0, and then I can keep decreasing this. So 255, 0, 0 is red, and I want to go from red to green. So I'm going to decrease my 255 to smaller numbers, and then I'm going to eventually go to the green, which is 0 to 55, 0. So I'm going to decrease my red, and I'm going to increase my blue. I can do it by one, but generally you are not going to see one that much. So I can write a program to do this kind of a thing. So my the red is going to kind of fade out, and my green is going to come up, and eventually everything is going to be green. So these are the reasons that we want to use the numbers and have a lot more different colors than just the name of it. But if I don't want to remember these things, I can just use the name of the color, and then we can just uh, put it in, and we're going to look at those things. So the things that we have, and this is kind of a standard for RGB, that's the basic colors. We are not going to get to more complex colors. We're going to use the simplest one to get you going, and then you want to go to the next level and make it advanced, that's fine. But that's what we are using. So it's a basic colors that we are using. So we can use it for set fill. We can use it for set outline. So if I have a shape like this, so I can do my outline, or I can do fill my shape with the color. So the set fill is going to be red in this case. The outline is also red. So I can change my outline to be a different color. So let's say that I want to put my outline as blue, and then I can do this. So my outline is blue, it's red. Of course, we can change the thickness and all those things as we go along. So in this case, we have the outline as black, so we can call it, and we are using a number. We could basically put green over here. So 0 to 55, 0 is green. So I could just spell it out, or I can just put it in there. And then we're going to be drawing the rectangular X, Y, width, and height. So that's how it's going to happen. So we can put the name of the color, or we can just use the numbers. I mean, when I started doing these kind of things way long time ago, we didn't have names, so we had to memorize all kind of numbers or have it in front of us. What is the dark red? What is, I mean, white, black, green? You know, those are easy to remember, but you know, like gold or tan. These are the one that we had to either look it up or have it memorized. So these are the functions that's available here. And again, these are very standard for most of the graphics that you're going to use. So if you look at this one, if you remember, we talked about the setters and getters methods. So we are setting this color. So we are doing the setting the color, we're doing the setting the fill, we did the setting the outline, and of course we can use either the name or RGB colors. So that's basically what we are talking for chapter 2. So I'm going to put some assignments for you in this section for the graphics, so we can do these kind of things before we get to the next chapter. Again, as usual, you have questions, please post it for this week. I'm going to create a week 2 questions. Please put it out there. Let's use it as much as possible. Let's discuss about things as much as possible so we can move on and learn from each other. Okay, thank you very much.